Hello everyone, how are you today? Trust you are very well. Let me just see. I'm fine. Goodness, it must be very late or extremely early in Q8. Wherever you are in the world, thanks for joining me. It is indeed morning here in Melbourne, morning in America, morning in Melbourne, not morning in America. Presumably nighttime in lots of places like Western Europe. Anyway, wherever you are, thanks for coming. My name's Colin, and today I will be guiding you through OET writing for nursing here at E2 Language. If you want to, on Zoom, respond, ask questions, communicate in any way, please do so through the chat box rather than the Q&A. Okay, I'll happily look at what it is that you're asking. And on YouTube, just comments in comments. Okay, thanks everyone for your cooperation. Right, let me just organize myself here. Okay, all right. Anyway, so let's turn that down. All right, so that's got my YouTube feed all working good. Right, thanks everyone for coming. A few things to say before we get into the actual writing bit. The first is that we still have our special offer, E2 World. That's simple, really. Make us a 20-second video telling us who you are, where you are, and what it is about E2 Language that makes you feel connected. This is an ongoing offer. I don't know when it's going to end, but maybe. You'll get $10 when you upload your video to this URL, promo-e2language.com, E2 World Video Upload, and we'll be very grateful, and you'll get something. Oh, good question. Somebody's just asked, when do the computer-based OET exams, what they call OET at home? OET at home is being trialed literally now. Some of you may have done it. I think they were doing it yesterday. They're piloting it, making sure it all works, and OET at home will be starting, I think, in July. But it's a very exciting project and seems to be going quite well. Anyway, so OET at home. But exam centres are opening in different places, so wherever you are. Brisbane, hello Brisbane. Wherever you are in the world, thanks for coming. Right, next thing, here at E2 Language, because you do work independently, let's say in isolation from one another, we offer you the possibility of sending in writing for feedback. That means that you read case notes that we provide for you, you write the plan and write the letter, submit it through the platform, and within 1 or 2 days it's returned to you with a grade, with a mark. Okay, it's great. As are the one-on-one tutorials. One-on-one tutorial, it's 45 minutes for you to spend on Zoom, focusing on 1 or 2 areas of the test which are of interest or concern to you. If you want to do writing, please make sure that you've submitted a piece of writing through the platform. For the other things, speaking, listening, or reading, don't worry, you don't need to prepare anything. But they're really good, very intense. Now, another question about the computer-based test. At the moment, it's called OET at home because you literally do it at home, maybe in an office, but you don't have to go anywhere to do it. What you have to do is do it from home, have a properly prepared area. There's a whole bunch of stipulations. For example, you can't have bookshelf behind you, that kind of thing. Eventually, I think the OET, computer-based OET, will be done in test centres as well. They're not abandoning the pen and paper OET. That will continue, but in parallel you will have both. It's a bit like IELTS. With the IELTS now, you have IELTS computer-based centres and the traditional IELTS paper-based as well. Okay, it's a bit like having Betamax and VHS. So imagine, if you like, it's like 1983, which probably most of you can't remember. But there you have it. Maybe that's a bad analogy. Blu-ray and DVD. Cool. Let's move on. The mini mock tests also done through the platform. It's a kind of a complete OET. You do all the reading, all the listening, a piece of writing, and one speaking role play. And if you've not done the test before, if you're thinking about taking the test, this is a really good thing for you to do in preparation for doing your actual OET. Make sure you don't leave it till the last minute, because you know, it's good to digest your results, think about where you're doing well, what you need to improve. Okay. In today's class, then, we're going to test your English with a quiz. We'll learn a method for completing the writing task. We'll analyze that task. We'll then choose from the relevant case notes and plan out your writing. The start of the letter will be done in a standard way. And today we're focusing on the other details paragraph. We'll then look at the model letter, check out the criteria once again, and complete the whole thing with a flourish, of course, and with a quiz. Have a pen and paper handy, as you will on the day of the test, and you'll make notes. We'll do a quiz in a moment, but let's quickly review some of the key verb tenses. There are 12 in total in the English language, 12 verb tenses. We use them all, obviously some more than others. The 5 that we use most often are the 5 at the top of the page here. We've got the present simple, such as Mr. Lin urgently requires your expert assistance. We have the present continuous. Ms. Adams is currently receiving. The present perfect, Miss Smith has been treated with cold compression therapy. The present perfect continuous, Mrs. Tran has been undertaking. And the past simple, Mr. Jones was admitted to St. Andrews 2 weeks after his operation. Lucky man. Can you use whitener on the writing section? I think you just scratch it out. No, I don't think you can use Tipp-Ex or whiteout or liquid paper. We do use the other 7, it's just the ones at the top in blue that we use most commonly. Right. So, bearing all of that in mind, we're going to do a little quiz. It will appear on the screen in a moment. And what you will do is complete the sentences that you see using appropriate verb tenses. It says 45 seconds. I'll give you a minute. I'll see you in a minute. Good luck, everyone. Okay. Thanks for your answers. Just a reminder to those on Zoom, if you don't mind using the Q&A, not using the Q&A, use the chat box instead. No, don't take Tipp-Ex into the test center. Just use a pen and scratch it out. And yes, and if you don't mind, just use the chat box for your answers. Thanks. Right, everyone, thank you. Let's see how you did. We are starting to see the infinitive, full infinitive, growth in the number of under 12s who are presenting with flu-like symptoms. Number 2, there was no way that the study could have predicted how widely the side effects would be experienced. Number 3, such was the pain that Adele pleaded with the doctor to raise her dosage of morphine. And number 4, the researchers found that it is insomnia that causes patients the greatest distress, rather than depression or muscle pain. What did I read once? That the sense that people most lament losing a sense of smell. I think Remarkable. Anyway, there you go. Insomnia. Nice. So let's take an overview of the writing. The writing test requires you to read and analyze the task, to read and analyze case notes, and to write a letter of referral, of discharge, or of transfer. It's only those things. There used to be more. There used to be more. There aren't anymore. That's it. Referral, discharge, or transfer. The 45 minutes is broken up into 5 minutes of reading time and 40 minutes of writing. In the 5 minutes of reading, then you need to read the task, work out who you're going to write the letter to and what action that person is required to take. You'll then read the case notes and understand the key facts about the patient's conditions. Of course, there are headings and subheadings there to guide you, but simply having a heading or subheading is not reason enough for you to actually include the information. You are responsible for identifying and deciding if information contained in the case notes is either relevant, highly relevant, slightly relevant, a bit relevant. If you decide it's relevant, it's going in the letter. If you decide it's not relevant, it won't. Okay, you're the arbiter of what goes in and what stays out. And certainly in a bit, once you've seen my organization of the case notes, you might disagree with a couple of things. Why did you include this and why didn't you include that? That's fine. We can have that conversation. Then the writing time, 40 minutes. You're planning out 3, 4, or 5 short paragraphs. Anyone who's here today who's previously done the IELTS test, I take the IELTS because that's the one that most people have most commonly done. OET is not IELTS for doctors and nurses. OET is quite a unique test, and you need to treat the writing. You have to treat the speaking in this test differently than the way that you treat the writing in other tests. IELTS typically, but also, for example, the Pearson test. There's no prescription for how many paragraphs need to go in a letter. It might be 3, it might be 4, it could be 5. Okay? There's no prescription either for the order that you decide to put the information down in the letter. If it makes sense, it's fine. So be flexible. I'm going to say that again in a moment with a slide. Then you need to write carefully. Your 180 to 200 words, that's where the word count matters, from introduction to request. That's your 180 to 200 words. Today, our focus will be only on the other details paragraph. So the 5 minutes of reading time, you're going to analyze the task to decide who you're writing the letter to, what the action that person needs to take, what key information they need in order to do their job, what prior knowledge they may have of your patient. Then you look at the case notes to work out what is relevant, what's repeated and relevant, and what's not relevant at all. To people who've not been here before, why do we make a distinction between relevant and repeated and relevant? It's because most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, you don't need to tell me that the patient is diabetic or that the patient is a widow or the patient. Do you understand? I mean, how many times do I need to know that? Sometimes you might have to use, in other words, the same information more than once, but generally we try and avoid it. So being aware of that in the 5 minutes of reading time is helpful. Note, Fatima, only information contained from the introduction through to the request paragraph counts for word count. Okay, the address does not count, the salutation does not count, signing off does not count. The please do not hesitate to contact me does not count. Nice. All right then. So here's the task, and you're going to answer 4 questions for me. Who am I writing this letter to? What action do I want the reader of this letter to take? What does the reader of this letter need to know? And what does the reader of this letter already know? You have a minute. Yes, you underline in the 5 minutes, but not yet. You have a minute to answer those 4 questions. Okay, so who am I writing to? Home care nurse, Ms. Sharon Wilkins. What action do I want Sharon to take? Ongoing home care assistance. What does the reader need to know? The patient's current condition, their needs and post-discharge. And what does the reader already know? They have no prior knowledge. That's not unusual in this kind of letter, obviously. Right, so we're now going to look at the case notes and organize them in 3 categories between what is relevant, what's repeated and relevant, and what's not relevant at all. Why do we do this? For 2 reasons. According to the criteria to get top marks for content in the writing, you need to make sure that key information is included and nothing important is being left out. For conciseness and clarity, you need to make sure that irrelevant information is not included. Excellent, this is exciting. So, do you need to add the definite article with neurologist, cardiologist? No. And again, this is not where you'll pass and fail your exam in the address. We'll talk about that soon. So here's the case notes. You've got 5 minutes to organize them according to those categories. See you in 5. Excellent, thank you. Don't have to share. I know it's difficult when you're doing it like this instead of on paper, but that's fine. Let's have a look. In red here, we've got what we consider to be relevant information. So quite a bit about the presenting complaint, the treatment. The blurred vision is included, just one bit of medication, self-administered. An assessment, half of that, all of the notes, and all of the management plan. Look at the blue a little bit more. All of the past medical history is now included, all of the medications, and the assessment is pretty much completed. This might be a good moment for you to take a screenshot. So these are the organized case notes, what I've included, what I've considered to be repeated, what is relevant and what is not relevant at all. For example, that breast augmentation she did back in 72. Yeah, when you're doing the paper-based test, you can do this on the page. In the home, yeah, repeated and also relevant. That's the important thing to remember. Just because it's repeated doesn't mean it's not relevant. It's repeated and not relevant, I don't care. So for example, he flies planes, not relevant at all, and might be mentioned more than once. You've put the word diet. A couple of people are asking about diet, diabetes and diets. She's diabetic, that's true. But why would I include information about that if the person's not going there to cook for her? Does she need to know? I decided I wouldn't include it. If she were preparing meals, definitely. But she's not, so I'm not. I'm mentioning she's diabetic, but I don't need to talk about the diet, I feel. Anything else? What about dementia? What about dementia, Manpreet? Anything about dementia? Well, does it matter? Do I need to talk about the meals? If I'm not asking the home care nurse to actually prepare any food, I mean, whether the food appears by magic, by Deliveroo, or by family, it doesn't really matter, does it? What about her weight? What about her weight? Is this relevant? Is our height and weight relevant? A body mass index? I mean, think about the recipient of the letter. No, not really. I think, Ada, you make a good point. BMI and weight for this kind of letter might be relevant if the person was, and I say this kindly, incredibly huge. So you might need, you know, somebody very, very strong to go and actually do some helping. But here we're not even talking about that. Do you see my point? Dementia. You think dementia is relevant because? Explain why you think dementia is relevant. I've included general disorientation from the presenting complaint. I've also put in, as repeated and relevant, mild memory loss suggestive of dementia. So I've put it in there. No, but you see, I've included it. People who think I've not included it, look, it's in blue. It means it's repeated and relevant. Weak ankle, I've talked about it. Yeah. Okay. Well, look, you know, all very interesting observations. Is alert and oriented relevant? You're asking. Well, I think so. All right, cool. Let's move on. Thank you, everyone. I hope you had a chance to take a picture. And we'll talk about the 40 minutes of writing time. A reminder at this point for you to be flexible. Don't go into OET writing with preconceived, rigid ideas about how things should and should not be. It doesn't work that way. Okay. Our only focus today will be on preparing the other details paragraph. That's one of the 3, 4, or 5 paragraphs that will be in this particular letter. Let's talk then, before we get there, about planning and writing. Oh, I see there's things in Q&A. Sorry, Q&A people. What about family history? Only if I think it's relevant. Is ankle weakness not relevant since she has ankle issues? Well, I'll tell you what, check out my letter and you'll see how I address that. So planning and writing, you need to address the recipient by following an outline. We'll do that in a moment. You then need to take notes and plan. You will decide how many paragraphs will go into this letter, and you will decide what information goes into each paragraph. And when you write, you need to continually check the relevance and the importance of the information you're including, making sure that you leave a few minutes at the end to check your work. Okay, so that's the way that goes. Let's talk about the letter outline. You start with the full name and title of the recipient at the top, then their job title, and then their full address. After that, you write the date. Which date, Colin? The date of the test. Don't think it more than that. After that, we call the reference line, the title of the patient, Mr., Mrs., Ms., and their full name and age or date of birth. Doesn't matter which, it really doesn't. After that, you put Dear Dr. Mr., Mrs., Ms., and their family name, their surname, comma, write your letter, then you write yours faithfully if you don't know the name of the recipient, yours sincerely if you do know the name, and then you write the word nurse. Okay? So all the information that you need is in the task. I will be quiet and good luck. A minute and a half to organize your outline. Thanks a lot, everyone. Let's have a look. Ms. Sharon Wilkins, home care nurse, Prestige Care, 393 Penny Lane, Taree. Then the date, 16th of the 5th, 2019. I like that number format for the date, 1605, 2019, that's fine. Dear Ms. Wilkins, and then the reference line, Mrs. Aisha Amari, 75 years old. Then I write letter, at the bottom, yours sincerely, and then registered nurse. Then you make a few observations before you ask. If the date goes above Ms. Sharon Wilkins or below Taree, doesn't matter. If the salutation, Dear Ms. Wilkins, goes above or below the reference line, that doesn't matter either. Okay, if I write age 75 or 75 years old, that doesn't matter. If I write yours faithfully instead of yours sincerely, neither does that. The most important thing is you understand basically how this ought to look pretty much, get it pretty much right, and then focus all of your love and attention to the guts of the letter. Okay, this bit from the introduction through to the request. This is where you will pass or fail your OET writing, these 180 to 200 words. If you make minor mistakes in the format of the letter structure, well, they're avoidable, but that's not going to be what causes the problems. So planning and checking the case notes. You need to decide how many paragraphs will go into your letter, and you will decide what information will go into each of those paragraphs. Today, our only focus is on the other details paragraph, meaning what is the additional information the recipient needs. So you're going to now spend 90 seconds looking at the case notes and deciding the relevant information for that one paragraph. Okay, I'll see you in a minute and a half. Nice. So these are my planning notes for the other details. The patient's name, Aisha Mari, notes, non-English speaker, shops independently, son Ahmed, interpreter, and information source, Ahmed, very involved, errands and finance. Medication, self-administered, son calls to remind. Assessment, ambulates independently, mobile phone with her at all times, pull cord in bedroom and bathroom. So what you're going to do now is write this other details paragraph. Useful language that you might want to include. In addition, take her medicine on her behalf and has so far. Those are the patient details and notes, medications, assessment information that you'll be included in this paragraph. You've got 5 minutes now to write the other detailed paragraph. Best of luck, my friends. Okay, thanks everyone for your submissions very much. Let's have a look. A non-English speaker, Mrs. Amari always carries a mobile phone to contact her son, Ahmed. He acts as her interpreter, in addition to reminding her to take her medicine and running errands on her behalf. She has so far been able to ambulate and live independently and has pull cords in her bedroom and bathroom. There's the whole letter. Take a screenshot, it will last longer. There you go, from beginning to end, it's there for you. You may have a question. If you do, by all means do so, do ask. Notice the request is a little bit longer than sometimes. Sometimes it's only one sentence, here it's two, because there's two things that I need, three things actually I need to go on here. It'd be greatly appreciated if you could provide Mrs. Amari with assistance twice a week for 3 hours each visit to help with personal care and household chores. Okay, that's the most important thing. That's why I'm writing to Sharon Wilkins. In addition, please monitor her ankle, fine, and arrange the installation of assistive devices around her home. Okay, so three things I need Sharon Wilkins to get on and do. Cool, let's move forwards. Thanks, everyone. Came back to the criteria. Language, meaning how accurate is your spelling? Oh dear. In the OET, you may use British or US spelling. Don't worry, just be consistent. Okay, we do have a blog post on this called, if you go to our blog, it's called 7 Rules to Improve Your Spelling. Now, what I'd like to do is look at this list. The question, can you spell these words in English? Have a little read, please. Okay, thanks. So here's your quiz. So in each line, you're going to see 3 spellings of a word. You have to decide whether A, B, or C version of the word is actually correct. So as you can see in number 1, column A, answer is correct. Patience, P-A-T-I-E-N-T, patient. If you're ready, got 12 more to do. See you in a minute and a half. Okay, thanks for your answers very much. Appreciate that. And here they are. Guarantee is from column B. That one's a tricky one. Accommodate with 2 C's and 2 M's, column B. Installation with an I and double L, column C. Achieve, I before E, as we used to say, except after C. Writing with 1 T and no E. Definite with 2 I's, from column A. Vaccinate with a double C, but 1 N, from column C. Conscious, it's always a tricky one. SC, like in science. Hygiene, GIE, that's a tricky one, with a Y, YGIE. Presence, ENCE. Relevant with 2 E's in column A, and installation with an A and a double L in column A for 13. Thanks everyone for your answers. Much appreciated. Can I display the task again? Which T? No, installation. They're homonyms, but they're not. Sorry, homophones. Which task are you talking about? The are you talking about the case notes? Anyway, you let me know what you want. What to study, my friends, loads. Go to our platform, e2language.com, log in and have at it. Do continually check from the official OET website for up-to-date information on the tests, test centers, OET at home, etc. And for podcasts for your listening, look no further than health-related podcasts from the ABC in Australia, BBC in the UK, NPR in the US, CBC in Canada. Get a nice variety of accents. And of course, TED Talks, which are great. For your reading needs, New England Journal of Medicine, NEJM.org, doesn't roll off the tongue, and Science Daily, both free. Don't forget the special offer, E2 World, make a video for us, 20 seconds. Who are you, where are you, and what is it about E2 language that makes you feel connected? The writing task. Please feel free to contact in case of any, a bit weird. Let's go back to the task. And when you say task, I'm assuming you mean case notes. There's the letter. There's the case notes. The task is at the bottom. Okay. If anyone has any questions, I'll happily answer them. So, with a, we put 75 years old or age 75. You don't put 75 years. You wouldn't, the answer is not, how old are you? I am 75 years. Thank you, bye. Please feel free to contact in case of any. Please feel free to contact me in case of any. No, again, you're worrying about the bit of the letter that frankly is at the very end. Please feel free to contact me if you require any further information. How's that? Query and queries, we don't generally use that. I mean, yeah, I suppose you could. But... Cool. Anything else? What have I forgotten? What am I forgetting here, people? What am I not getting? To get scrap paper, you have paper. You get paper. Okay. No worries. Nice one. Thanks everyone for your questions and your responses. No, don't use whitener. You did ask. Don't. Just use your pen and scratch it out. So no Tipex. What you can take into an exam room is very restricted. I don't know how you generally feel about it. I think that I would like to. I think maybe if I had a choice, I'd prefer to type. the test rather than use use a pen and paper, because I'm used to typing. But look, if you're not good at collecting the relevant information, you need to discipline yourself. You need to practice. It's not something that's so easy. You need to work on it. But do come to the live classes. You'll get better at it. It's also good in the live classes because we do the tasks together. We give you a chance, and then you can see the way that we organize them, so you can start to understand the logic. If you're doing your actual test on the 11th of July, maybe do your mini mock test on maybe the 2nd. Gives you plenty of time to digest the result. 1st or 2nd of July. Why is the fact that she's a widow not mentioned? Because it doesn't matter, or it's not going to help the person do their job. I am mentioning Ahmed, the son. The son is involved and he's helpful. I don't need to talk about the fact that she's got no, that her husband's dead. That's okay, don't worry about it. Cool. Any other questions? That's okay. Bad networks, we live with it. Why is a weak ankle not relevant? Because it's been treated. I'm asking them to check the ankle afterwards. Do you need to write the postcode? Nah. Can you imagine if you wrote a perfect letter and you forgot to include the postcode? They say, this person doesn't know how to write anything. They didn't include the postcode. Fail. Get a sense of proportion when it comes to this sort of work, okay? I know it's very overwhelming. There's a lot to take in, but yeah, you can work your ideas out. Connectives, yeah. Go to the core skills section of the E2 language platform. Yeah, I know, but just check out information. Look, postcode is very minor, and for somebody who's marking your test, if they were to say, look, it's a good letter, but this candidate left off the postcode, I'm afraid I can't pass them. When we prepare caseloads, as we do, writing content, we don't even include the postcode anymore because, why? Anyway, so we use one during the test, not necessarily. And again, look, please don't obsess about the postcode. It's not. This is a test of your English, not your ability to write down postcodes. Yeah, look, get a nice variety of connectors in there. It's not wrong, it's just repetitive. Diet's not being mentioned because the home care person is not feeding the Aisha Amari. They're not preparing food. Use a nice variety of connectors and linking words and ideas. Yeah. Anyway, so go to core skills in our platform, and you'll see that we have a lot of stuff related to connectors, linking words. All right, conjunctions. Oh, our exam centres in London open. Do check on the official OET website. OET will advertise which test centres are open and when and what the rules are. Sleep well if you're about to go to bed. Yeah, it's not down to the OET, it's down to local authorities as to what they're allowed to do as far as test centres are concerned. So as soon as they are open. You're only writing the name of the doctor once, or actually twice, in the address and in the salutation, that's all. Okay. Nice, thanks everyone. Appreciate your questions. I'm going to go, and I'll see you all again. I'll be back tomorrow writing for medicine. Okay, feel free to come back. Cheers. Bye.